This is by far one of the toughest questions to answer. It's so personal. I get it all the time. What should be your first race car? I don't know, the one in the driveway? Like the one that your friend wants to sell you cheap? The real answer is you want the car you know the best. You want the car that you've been wrenching on with your friends. You want the car, hell, you want the car that you like. You don't want to race something that's not fun. Like, no one wants to go race like a Prius. You ever like, yeah, I do want to race a Prius. No. Go find a cool car to race. Go find the car like of your childhood. Go find the car you had fun with. That's assuming you don't have like any real knowledge in cars, right? Because the smartest thing you do is just go with the car you know best. Like this E30 right here. Like, I hate to say it, I don't really know that much about like a lot of cars. I know how cars work. But I know how BMWs work, and they use the same part suppliers, so when I open an engine bay, I can like see all the different parts from all the different companies, and I recognize and I know what they do, and I know how they work. But if I open like a Ford or a GM car, I can piece together where the parts are, but they do things differently, you know? Like, so my point is, if you're not a mechanic and you don't know cars really, really well, you're probably only ever going to learn like your car, the one you race. You know, they sell these books, right, like a Chilton manual. You know, this is second chapter is like, you know, how to change engine rebuilding, right? So Chilton manual, you get one of these, it'll basically show you how to swap everything in the car. It's got most of the electrical diagrams. It's got most of what you need to problem solve just about anything in the race car. So point is, get the car you know the best. Get the car that you and your friends know. It's not just about like knowledge of repairing the car. It's about like your network, right? So my friends are all BMW guys. I grew up in the BMW car club here in Chicago. I grew up autocrossing. I went to their track day program. So all my friends know BMWs cold. Like any one of my friends could come in here and like jump on this E30 and start swapping parts. Like there isn't really anything on here they couldn't touch because this is like the building block of everything we ever learned. So when you have problems, you're late for a race, it's nice if your buddies know your car better than you do, so they come over, they can help. Spare parts. Dude, if you drive these cars and you race these cars, odds are your basement's full of spare parts for these cars. So run these cars and just utilize the spare parts you already have. The other thing is like junkyard networks, like Autobahn Dismantling in El Cajon, San Diego. Like I've bought, I don't know how many motors from them. Like long before I moved to San Diego, they were shipping the engines across the United States. They're a dismantling yard specializing in BMWs. So yeah, I get all my parts from them. I know I can call Sean and be like, yo, Sean, send me this. And he'll go find it and get it to me and I'll make the race. If you're looking for a random part, or you need a 445 limited slip, or you need something unusual, or like some of the guys in Rally were playing games, building their own diffs out of 7 Series and mixing and matching parts. Well, then when you have a problem, you can't replace it. So race simple stuff, race stuff you know, race stuff that your friends have in their driveway, so you can go borrow parts from them. People always ask me about classes, like will I be competitive? Will this car, how does this car do here? Who cares? You're gonna suck. Like the first time you go racing, you're gonna be really bad. And you might think you're awesome, but you're gonna suck. Dude, there's guys who've been doing this for years. So you might even total your first car. I mean, seriously, like you really might total it. So your first car should be like a mule. It should be something strong. It should be reliable. It should finish every race. It should be slow. Slow cars generally teach you to drive better because if you make a mistake, it's really obvious. It doesn't, like if you go slow through a corner, you can't get on the gas and mask it all going back down the straight. Like if you have a slow car and you screw up a corner, you know it pretty fast. So without telemetry, it's easier to learn in slow cars. The next question I always get is, well, what if I don't know cars? I don't know cars at all. What should I get? I don't know. Like, they're usually like front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, all wheel drive. I don't know. What'd you grow up driving? I grew up driving rear wheel drive. Like, I like rear wheel drive race cars. There's some obvious differences. Like all wheel drive is more expensive. You have twice the number of diffs, twice the number of half shafts. You have a lot more parts to break. You know, so all wheel drive is more expensive. Usually all wheel drive cars have turbos on them. Turbos generally are more expensive than NA motors. Just more moving parts, more stuff to fail. Front wheel drive cars, generally easier to drive. I mean, that's why most of the the Camrys and the Priuses and basically everything that our parents drive are front wheel drive. When things go wrong, the car just kind of goes straight. Like it doesn't start spinning out and fishtailing or whatnot. So pick the car you like, pick the car that's the most fun to drive, pick the car that you know. If you don't know a car, pick a car that's cool. Like pick a car from your childhood. And oh my God, pick a car that there are tons of. Do not, like even E30s are too rare now. Like you're gonna have too much of a hassle finding parts, and all the spec E30 guys are buying them up. Like you just, no, the hipsters got all the rest of the parts. Nope. You need like, even the E36s are starting to become expensive. They just didn't make enough. Like you can go buy an E46 BMW, like a 330 with a 6-speed for like $2,500, dude. That's cheap, fast, a hell of a good car. They made tons of them. They'll be in junkyards forever. Like that's the key to your first race car. Make sure they make tons of them. Yeah, don't buy a rare car. Get something where there's tons of parts. And if you really don't know cars, and you really don't have a network of friends with cars, and you get to pick any car you want, then dude, pick something with like a massive network, right? Or a massive like aftermarket network. Like don't go try to modify, like Lars doing a Juke. Like dude, there's no parts for it. He's got to machine everything for it. He's got to make every single part. Like yeah, it's cool to watch, it'll take it forever. You go buy like a BMW, you just call Bimmer World and like go to their website and you're like, oh, I'll take these suspension pieces and these control arms and these bushings, and oh, I'll take these bushings, and oh, I need to reinforce my chassis. Like, yeah, I'll take the subframe reinforcement kit, the sway bar reinforcement kit, I'll take the shock tower reinforcement kit. Like, all the kits are there, it's all already set up just to go on the car. Yeah, your first race car, don't go crazy. Just put the safety gear in and show up. Like, can't even tell you how many friends of mine I have that have built cars for so long that by the time they were ready, their car was no longer even competitive. Like one guy had to change his whole car, like the cage isn't even legal. Like he built this car, the rules changed while he was building it, and now he's gonna cut his, I mean, I guess he can add bars, but it's gonna be a mess. No, you wanna build your car as fast as possible and get to the event as fast as possible. So yeah, like don't build the perfect car. Like really don't. There's a lot of guys out there that go racing, they're like building a lightsaber, like it's like the perfect thing, and they're not gonna put a part on unless it's like the perfect part. Screw that, dude. Like get the car running, get the safety gear in it, and go show up. Yeah, don't get too fancy, just build the damn car. Just get it running, show up at the event, make it nice later. You might stuff your car in the first event. Like, dude, what if you blow the thing out the first weekend? And you spent 3 years building it? My other suggestion to people is your first car should be dirt cheap. That way, when you go to events, you can drive as fast as you want. You can hang it out. You can use the last couple inches of the track. You can take risks. You can experiment. You can learn. And the cost of learning is cheap if you make a mistake because your car's junk. So, yeah, get something they made a lot of. Get something that are cheap. Get something there are tons of parts for. Get something that everyone knows. And then just buy something you like. No one wants to race like a not cool car. Like if you're gonna race a car, get something that's awesome. Get something that's like fun to look at. Like get something that makes you happy. Yeah, and then have fun with it, man. Build your car, buy a car, doesn't matter. Just show up and race, have fun. Thanks, guys.